welcome to today's video. So today I just kind of wanted to talk about mine and Stratton's breastfeeding journey. We have made it to a year, so I just kind of wanted to talk about how we made it to a year, all the things that happened in his first year breastfeeding. So then the second day came around and I was nursing him and he wouldn't really latch on. So not the lactation consultant, but the nurse that was helping us told me to try a nipple shield. I didn't know anything about the nipple shield. She just told me that that's what they give babies that are having trouble latching on. She didn't show me how to attach it or anything. I didn't see the lactation consultant after that because we left the hospital before she was scheduled to come back. I could call up there at any time and talk to them, but I just never did. So we left the hospital. I was using the nipple shield. I found the Haka pump, which is just a silicone pump that suction cups to the opposite breast that they are not eating off, and it collects all of the downfall that you're having from that side. I was getting quite a bit from that side. That was the milk that I was storing. So jumping to, I found the Instagram page Legendairy Mamas. Anyways, so it is just one woman she helps explain how to get rid of clogged ducts, mastitis, how to help your baby latch, how to gain your milk supply, how to up your milk supply. So yeah, I followed her and I was following a lot of her tips and tricks to help breastfeed Stratton. So around that same time, I got a clogged duct because I wasn't making sure that my breasts were empty after every feed, which is something that you really should do in the beginning of breastfeeding so that your milk supply knows to keep making milk and keep making more milk, because if you don't empty it your baby will empty your breast maybe once or twice a day, but not every single feed. So you want to make sure that you're emptying them yourself so that your brain isn't just like, oh, we don't need to make that much milk, so we'll stop. So I got a clogged duct because I wasn't doing that. I had skipped a couple times because I was just tired and I didn't feel like it. So when I got the clogged duct, I did message the girl or the lady that runs the Legendairy Mama page, and she suggested that you fill the Haka pump up with hot water and Epsom salt and you suction cup that to your breast, and it will unclog the duct and the duct will just flow into all that water. And it did work. So I did do that, and then I was done with my clogged duct. But then I did notice some things happening with Stratton and I. Every time that I would have a letdown throughout the day, it was extremely painful. It hurt so bad. And Stratton was just super fussy. Which Stratton was normally a fussy baby anyways, but it was just happening every time he was eating. So I called his doctor and he got an appointment, and it turned out that we both had thrush. He had it in his mouth, I had it in my breast, and so we were just passing it back and forth to each other. You get thrush, it's just like a yeast infection, and just goes in your mouth and in your boobs, and there's no way you can prevent it. You have to take antibiotics to treat it, and you can keep passing it back and forth if he wasn't treated completely or I wasn't treated completely. But it hurt so bad that I really contemplated being done breastfeeding because I was just like, this hurts so bad. So we finally got rid of thrush, and he was around 3 months old at this point, and he was still eating with the nipple shield. And I had talked to the lady that runs the Legendairy Mama, because you eventually want them to stop using the nipple shield. It's not good for them to keep using it after they are 6 weeks, and we were past 6 weeks. He was around 8 weeks. We're a little bit older. So I had messaged her to see what I needed to do to get him cut off from the nipple shield. She had told me I wasn't really using it right anyways, and he wasn't getting milk correctly, and that was causing me to not be empty ever after every feeding. So that did take a long time. It did take a long time to break him of the nipple shield. I would have to start feeding him with the nipple shield and then hurry up and take it off, and then have him latch back on just to my normal nipple. And at first he would just immediately stop eating. He didn't want to eat off of me unless it was with a nipple shield. And because I started using the nipple shield right when he was born, my nipples never got used to breastfeeding, because in the beginning stages of breastfeeding your nipples will get raw and cracked, and some of them will bleed, and it's extremely painful just because your nipples are getting used to being sucked on all the time. So mine were never used to that because they had the nipple shield, so that was extremely painful to get used to, and that did not help the process at all. We eventually got past that. He eventually just started taking my breast over the nipple shield, and I didn't have to use the nipple shield at all anymore, so that was so good because I never learned how to attach it properly, so milk would just fall out of it and we would both just get soaked. It was not fun, so I was so thankful that no longer was a thing. Then I did notice that my supply was going way down. I was talking to a bunch of moms about what I should do. I don't drink anything but water. That's just who I am. I just drink water and coffee. That's it. Like, I have a hot coffee in the morning, drink water the rest of the day. So my water intake wasn't the problem because that was literally the only thing that I drank throughout the day, and I was making sure that I was drinking over a gallon of water a day, which is what you want to do. So I knew that it wasn't because I wasn't getting enough fluids. I am really bad about eating. Like, I'm kind of a snacky person, but I'm really bad about eating meals. Like, after he was born, for a really long time, I just didn't have an appetite at all, which I've heard that's normal, but I just didn't have an appetite at all, so I really never wanted to eat. So I would probably never eat breakfast. I would sometimes eat lunch, but a small lunch, so I wasn't really getting enough nutrients to produce milk. So I was talking to a bunch of moms, and they're like, try taking brewer's yeast in vinegar. Okay, so yeah, I was talking to a bunch of moms, and a lot of them said to try taking brewer's yeast in vinegar. So I did. It wasn't helping. I talked to a different mom. She told me to get the lactation cookies from Walmart and try drinking blue Gatorade. So I got the cookies. They did help a lot. The blue Gatorade didn't really do anything, and I'm just not a Gatorade fan, so I stopped doing that. But I was eating the cookies, but obviously it's not healthy to just eat cookies all the time. So I contacted the Legendairy Mamas, and they do sell supplement pills and a tea that you can drink. And I talked to her, and I told her what I was going to be taking, and she told me to not take Runa Creek because all Runa Creek can lower your supply a lot of the time, and I did not know that. So that obviously wasn't helping me. And the pills that they supply do not have Runa Creek in them, and they're all natural. They work extremely well. I've never heard anybody talk bad about them. They work amazing. I ordered them, and as soon as I ran out, I ordered another deal. They just recently got a subscription so that it'll just keep sending it to you every like 15 days or 20 days, and so I have that because I never want to run out. You take 2 pills 3 times a day, and sometimes that can be a lot. Not gonna lie, sometimes I do forget to take them, and I do notice when I do not take them, but I swear by these pills. I feel like they are the only reason that we got to a year. I feel like if I did not have them and wasn't taking them, then I would not be able to breastfeed Strat. So I cannot speak highly enough of that company. The lady that runs it is so helpful. She never misses my messages. She will always get back to me. She'll always get back to me like as soon as possible, and she always answers all my questions that I have. So I'm very thankful that I found them when I did, because I fully believe that they are the reason that I'm able to breastfeed Stratton. So we have that, and then he was probably around he was probably like 4 or 5 months at this point, and leading up to this, he had puked non-stop. He was such a pukey baby, and I was just like, okay, like something's wrong. Like, he doesn't have acid reflux, he wasn't colicky. I was like, he's just puking all the time. So I was like, let me cut out dairy. I'll cut out dairy, see what that does for him, and he didn't puke anymore after I did that. Now, cutting out dairy is rough. Like, dairy is in a lot of things, and so I didn't eat anything with dairy. I substituted it all. The only thing that I would eat, or drink I should say, that was dairy was coffee creamer, but I'd only have like 1 cup of coffee a day, so that really wasn't going to mess with him, and it didn't. So after I cut out dairy, he didn't ever puke, like hardly ever. Maybe like once in a blue moon, one random time. After I cut out dairy, he was perfectly fine. He never puked. So I did that for about 2 or 3 months, and then after 2 or 3 months, I tried dairy again, and he was still fine. So I was able to put dairy back in my diet. So that's good because I am a huge ice cream lover, so I needed to have ice cream. So then, like going back to when he was 4 or 5 months old, I started I'm pretty sure when he was around 4 months old, I started my cycle again, which from what I've heard from other moms, that's pretty early. A lot of moms don't start till way later or until they're completely done breastfeeding. So my supply started back really early. And when your supply starts, it puts a dip into your supply every time it comes every month. And it changes the flavor of your milk, if you didn't know that, for like the first couple of days. So I definitely noticed when my supply dipped when my cycle came back, and I noticed that Stratton was just not interested those first couple of days at the beginning of my cycle. He just didn't want it. But that put a big dip into my supply. So if you haven't started your cycle yet again, I'm just warning you that it could, and a lot of the moms that I've talked to, it did. So he was probably 5 months, we introduced some solids like bananas. We just wanted him to get used to it. He wasn't a fan at first, but he eventually got used to it. We never really fed him baby food out of a jar. I just didn't want to do that. I wanted him to get used to eating like food as it was, like bananas. Like I wanted him to get used to the mushiness, or I would give him like a strip of zucchini to gnaw on. I would obviously watch him the whole entire time to make sure he didn't choke or anything like that. But I would give him that for him to gnaw on and get used to holding something. We did start introducing pouches to him probably when he was around 8 months old, and from then he just kind of knew to hold it and suck out of it like a straw. So we never really had to like just squeeze it constantly, and we only got the organic ones and the clear pouches just for my sanity. So that's pretty much the only baby food he's ever had. Other than that, he would eat pretty much solid foods. And now he doesn't nurse that much throughout the day, maybe 4 or 5 times, which that is probably still a lot considering he is a year old, but it's fine. He eats meals like when we eat meals. He eats pretty much everything we eat. We got that okay from his doctor. At nighttime, I'll nurse him, and then he'll drink some from a bottle just to make sure he's completely full before he goes down to bed, because he does sleep all night now. So that's pretty much how we made it to a year. So it was a very, very hard year. It was not easy. It didn't get easier the older he got. It is very, very, very hard in the beginning to breastfeed. I know that. Trust me, I know. We went through a lot those first couple of weeks after Stratton was born. We got thrush. We had to use a nipple shield. We got clogged ducts. It was a lot. But we got through it, and I'm so thankful that I stuck with it. It will be extremely hard. It's also extremely hard at nighttime because you're the only one that can get up and feed your baby. It was very hard because Bailey couldn't feed him because I was the one that was feeding him from my boobs. He could have had a bottle, but he just wouldn't take a bottle, and it was just easier for me to whip out my boob, feed him that, and then go back to sleep. So I just wanted to give you, some of you new mamas, some encouragement, because it is really hard those first couple of weeks, but if you stick it out, I promise it will get easier. If you notice that you're having a low supply from the beginning, just know that it takes time for your supply to get established. It takes around 6 weeks for your supply to fully get established, but there are plenty of things that you can do to try first if you are someone that really, really wants to breastfeed and are dedicated to trying all the things. Like making sure your water intake is really good, eating things with like really, really high nutrients and calorie. Keep up your calorie intakes, but with healthy foods, not like fatty, unhealthy foods. Like eat a lot of vegetables and fruit. I found that eating chia seed and flaxseed in yogurt is super helpful, because of those are a lot of things that you'll find in like breastfeeding supplements. There are a lot of supplements you can take, but I fully believe in Legendairy Mama. If like I know anybody that is struggling and needs some help, I will always recommend them. So I will leave their website down below and their Instagram handle, because I just cannot recommend them enough. They are the reason that I was able to breastfeed Stratton. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, leave a comment down below. Give this video a thumbs up. I'd love to hear from you guys if you breastfed your babies or if you're struggling. I hope you guys found this helpful. If you did, comment down below. Subscribe to my channel before you leave, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.